Stand by for broadcast.
You're listening to Inside Air, a behind-the-wire view of the Royal Air Force, its people, technology and operations.
Hi, I'm Flight Lieutenant Chris Sully and welcome to the latest RAF Inside Air podcast. In this episode, we're off to the races. The world-famous Isle of Man TT races, to be precise, to follow the progress of Brize Norton-based Cpl Michael Russell, aka Jack.
Well, we're self-funded, so I work in the Air Force as obviously an MT driver in STS, like I said before, but everything is self-funded. Unfortunately, there's no sort of money in the public sector as such, like we used to be. And we are a self-funded team, self-sponsored. We work very hard to liaise with our sponsors. So yeah, we've got at this point the main sort of mainstay of speed out of our way. We've hit the bottom of Bray Hill flat out, took Agos, leapt over second Agos, or whatever that bumpy sort of second Agos is called, and then we're sort of setting ourselves up for braking hard into Quarter Bridge. And
when we're here as well, trying to make sure that things are running in the awning as they should, that Jack has the bike and anything that he needs, and that Jack is in a place where he needs to be to ride the bike. But like I say, it's all very sort of, we all do what we need to.
So yeah, basically just signalling that we've got a problem. So we pulled over with the marshals that had the black flag out. They said, just get into your pit. Got into the pit, the boys were like, what are you doing? I was like, well, the exhaust fell off.
As usual, we'll also reheat a few stories which might have slipped under your radar. But first, let's see if you can identify what this noise is. Find out if you're right at the end of this episode. The Isle of Man Tourist Trophy Motorcycle Races are better known around the world by just two letters, TT. The TT has been running since 1907 and has seen many household names attempt the incredibly fast and twisty 37 3/4 mile course on public roads around the Isle of Man. The course runs from near sea level in Douglas to the top of the mountains at over 400 metres. Joey and Michael Dunlop, John McGuinness, Peter Hickman, Mike Halewood, Agostini and Guy Martin are just a few of the big names who've taken on the TT. Brize Norton-based Cpl Michael Russell, known to his friends as Jack, was back at the end of May for TT 2023. We got to follow his ups and downs and even joined him for part of the course in this episode of Inside Air.
Hello, I'm Michael Russell, known as Jack, a corporal in the Royal Air Force based at RAF Brize Norton, where I work at STS, which is a specialist training school for deploying personnel.
Jack, very different role. You're here on the Isle of Man in the sunshine. We're about 36 hours away from the start of race day. It's Saturday afternoon. What are you up to? How long have you been here?
So I actually arrived a little bit earlier than normal, Chris, this year. We came across last Saturday, so I've been on the island a week, just soaking up the sun, which has been absolutely beautiful, and long may it continue. So we got the bikes out, set up the awnings, everything else ready to go, and then over the last sort of week, while I've been left on my to my own devices, I've been sort of enjoying the island, doing a couple of laps, getting used to the bikes, etc. And now we're just, it's Saturday morning, we've woken up now, and it's sort of now getting to that point where the pace is starting to pick up. We've got a lot of jobs on today with the scrutineering signing on. The boys are busy prepping the bikes, and then from there we'll, I think once the day's done and dusted, I think we can sort of relax tomorrow. We've just got a few little jobs to sort out, and then it'll be a case of wake up early Monday morning, physio session in the morning, get taped up, ready to go, and warm up, and then we've got, I think, quite a few sessions hopefully to enjoy the sun and get out on some nice fast bikes.
For anyone who doesn't know, the Isle of Man, smack bang in the middle of the Irish Sea. Douglas is on the east coast. It's where the TT starts and finishes. We're standing about 100 metres away from the grandstand where all the action will happen. We're in an area known as the Village. Just describe what this area is all about.
So the Village is where all the riders, the team set up throughout the fortnight, 3 weeks mainly for most people. When we live, work and eat, everything gets done in this place. The teams are busy in the evenings after practice, and it's a melee of action really. So our setup here, we're sort of down the bottom end. If anyone wants to come and find us, that'd be great. We're out the way, but it's nice and quiet. We've got quite a large setup with obviously running the 10 races this year. So we've got, the day goes on, and from there you'll see a hive of activity. The big teams out there will be stripping and rebuilding, stripping engines, etc. We unfortunately can't sort of do that. We've come with what we've got, and we'll do what we can with that. So it's a little bit more basic maintenance that we're preparing down here. So stock machines, and we're aiming for the finishes. Obviously the TT course can scupper that, but we'll try our best.
We'll have a look at the bikes in a second. We'll talk about your previous experience. It is the calm before the storm here, because there are just a few people walking around. Most of the teams, sort of hanging out, having a good time, enjoying the sunshine. But from tomorrow, then it really does go up a gear, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. No, if you check my heart rate at the minute, we're probably around about 60, 65 beats per minute. Tomorrow morning, it'll be starting to build. Monday morning, if you put me on a heart monitor, you might be getting a bit worried. It'll be, pushing up to 150, 160, the adrenaline will be starting to pump up. And to be fair, it's the whole build-up. We left the TT last year in 2022, and the week after we left, we were busy planning, preparing for this year. So as every team is, as every privateer does, etc. So, from my point of view, everything's now building, culminating into a Monday morning practice. So, can't wait.
You used the phrase there, privateer. What does that mean exactly?
Well, we're self-funded, so I work in the Air Force as obviously an MT driver in STS, like I said before, but everything is self-funded. Unfortunately, there's no sort of money in the public sector as such, like we used to be. And we are a self-funded team, self-sponsored. We work very hard to liaise with our sponsors, who are friends, really. At the end of the day, we get these sponsors on board and they turn into friends, and that's a long-standing relationship, hopefully, with a few of them. So we work hard, self-funded. It is expensive. My whole season, unfortunately my whole life really, revolves around the TT course, and getting to the island. It's quite sad to say my wife definitely doesn't get it, but not many people do, but the ones that get it and understand it and come across the island to enjoy it themselves, it's a very different spectacle. The event itself is absolutely phenomenal. You get a great impression on the TV and the podcasts and the TT app, television shows and the Manx radios and everyone else that covers it. Gets it out to the worldwide audience, but to come and actually watch it in person, unfortunately there is nothing like it. And from that point of view, I highly recommend it. Get it on your bucket list.
From a rider's point of view, is TT different to other races?
There is nothing like it. We have other road races, Northwest 200, Southern 100, but it's not the same. It's a very different circuit, 37.73 miles long for starters, 200 odd bloody miles. I can't remember how many corners. So it's an incredibly unique event. It's held at the most prestigious, in my opinion, island in the world that is the home of road racing. From this point, this is the mecca of road racing. This is the pinnacle of road racing. Anything else obviously is out there, and fantastic events. Highly recommend getting to the 700 to watch, etc., and to get over to race. But for me, it's the Everest. As the Tom Birchall mentioned last year in the film, it's the Everest of racing. There's a pinnacle, there's Snowdons and all that, mountains out there. Short circuit, unfortunately, doesn't really do it for me anymore. We did one lap behind Chris Palmer as a newcomer back in the day, and unfortunately that was enough for me to retire from short circuit racing, because unfortunately there is no buzz from it. It's not boring, it's just not the TT. And as sad as it is, if we had some more budgets, yes, we'd do some more short circuits and all that good stuff, but from my point of view, my life revolves around this place. It's all I breathe, eat and sleep, so long may that continue as well.
So about 36 hours away, I can hear some work going on in your stand area behind you. Who's in there? What's going on at the moment?
So we've got Wing Commander Paul Taylor. He's over. I mean, he's a stalwart of the TT. Actually, I think this is his 29th TT. So he's been across and supported RAF riders in the past. Gordon Blackley, to name just a few. And now we're very lucky that we've got him to help out. And then we've got Charlie, who's come across. He's a mate from the same trade as myself. We've got people dropping in and out as the weeks go through. We've got guys arriving tomorrow, Monday, blah 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 blah. It's one of those things. We'll just culminate into a team, melee things together. If it doesn't work, just hit it with a spanner and see what happens, and get the bikes off down Bray Hill.
The other thing you've got to do this afternoon is lots of paperwork. You don't just rock up and go out on the bike. There's loads of paperwork, and the bike itself. The bikes have also got to be checked. You mentioned a moment ago. Yeah,
so we came over early. The reason why I came on the Saturday last week was to actually come across and get the pre-TT inspection for the sidecar. Obviously, after the unfortunate events last year, we've got quite a rigorous and strict scrutineering procedure with it, which is absolutely spot on. So we came across, and it was the last chance to get everything sorted, make sure the scrutineers are happy, and again, obviously, make sure that we're happy with what's going on, obviously, with the bikes. So, the bikes go through. It's their last sort of checked before they go out onto the track, and from that point of view, we can sling our leg over the bikes or get into the sidecar, as it were, and have a bit of confidence. The guys that go through the scrutineering process and the officials behind the TT do a wonderful job to keep us as safe as we can with everything that goes on around the TT course.
Just to finish us off this Saturday afternoon, it's quite a we step through, and you can maybe just tell us about the bikes you've got here and the events that you'll be using them for.
So we've got a new LCR. Well, not a new LCR, unfortunately, that's well out of my budget, but we've got an LCR which is new to me, shall we say, for the sidecar races. Still the same engines as last year, but it's slightly lighter chassis. It's about 20 kilos lighter than the Shell one we used last year. Bigger, fatter tyres, hopefully better brakes, but it's a different machine, very different riding position to last year's.
Anyone who's thinking of sort of Wallace and Gromit sidecar, we should disabuse them of that idea. This is a totally different beast. This is a low slalom. What sort of speed are you doing in this?
Well, ideally, if everything's on song, I mean, the fast boys are probably 155, I'd have thought. So if we can hit 145, sort of down a very smooth Solby now, we'll be very happy. You don't want to say it, but we are looking at finishes rather than medals, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And of course, with the sidecar, the other really important thing apart from the bike and you is the passenger. How does that work? What's their job and who have you got riding for you?
So we're very lucky. We've got Vicky Cook on this year, who is a very experienced sidecar passenger. She's a young girl, and she's full of life and ambition. So when we paired up, we're aiming to stay together for a long time. We enjoy the racing together. Basically, we just take the mickey out of each other and have that camaraderie as such within the team.
Does she get the military humour?
Oh, she does actually. Yeah, she's very good. She's a good girl, and I love her to pieces. So yeah, we've got.
But it's not just the passenger, isn't just because even that phrase makes it sound like they're just baggage and going around with you. They've got a far more important role than that, though, haven't they?
They are. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, their role is as pivotal as mine. Without them in the right place at the right time, the bike's out of control. And unfortunately, that's so she's got to know the track as well as we do, as well as I do.
Because you won't be able to talk to her, so she's got to know right now. I've got to move out and be hanging out the left or the right or leaning forward, whatever. Presumably, she needs that information herself.
She knows the track honestly as well as I do. We did a couple of laps here a couple of weeks ago. We came over just before the mountain road closed. We came over the weekend before. We did about 6 or 7 laps, and we did watch them on boards and everything else. And she's phenomenal. They all are. All these sidecar idiots are absolutely phenomenal. So, you talk to them and you think, he can't even write his own name, but they know the TT course like the back of their hands, and they need to, and they work hard at it. Behind closed doors, they're doing laps, watching preparation videos, etc. So they put in the graft for it. I'll tell you, it's good to watch.
And it's the 100th year of the sidecar here at the TT this year. You've got 3 other bikes as one goes past us in the background, nothing to do with us. You've 3 other bikes here. Just talk us through those.
So we've got a new Kawasaki 636 that we're running in the Super Sport class. New to the team, new to myself. I think it's about 100 miles on the clock on the dyno, so we're going to bed that in on the first night, and then obviously swap that oil out and put the race oils in from JP Oils. And then we've got an Aprilia RS660 for the lightweight class, which we had last year. This year we can up the revs on it, so it should be a little bit more competitive. Last year we had to limit the revs to we cut the fueling at about 10.9, so we lost that sweet spot, should we say, Chris, unfortunately. And then the big bike that's going to be doing the 4 races, so 2 Superbike and 2 Superstock, is our BMW S1000 RR, which is a 2018 model, and I mean, it scares the crap out of me, so I don't really want anything quicker. If we can take some power out of it, that'd be handy. But it's a lovely bit of kit. Hopefully everyone sort of sees the striking decals that we've got on the bikes this year, with Fraser Evans on the side and the Pipeworks on the big bike, and gives us a wave on the sides. Be great.
Fantastic. So we are, as I say, about 36 hours away from things really swinging into action. How are you feeling right now?
Nervous excitement at the end of the day. We've got not pressure on myself. I've put a bit of pressure on myself to try and do this challenge. We're in a good place mentally and physically. We've got the physio team behind us. We've got a good team of guys over doing, working with me here, which is the main thing. As long as everyone enjoys it, that's what the TT is about. We can only do what we can. I'm under no illusion. We're entering 10 races. We may not finish any. It's the TT course is the most demanding physically on myself and on the bikes. So I'm under no illusion that we might not finish any races. We've been here in the past with 2 bikes, never gone out, didn't go home with a trophy or a medal that year. So it is hard, and it was stupid little things, hold the rad and electronic issue that just cut, wire got cut, and that was it. So if it happens, Chris, it happens. And regardless, we're here to enjoy it. And even if it goes Pete Tong and we're having a crap day, you're still in the Isle of Man, you're still at the TT, and the sun's out, hopefully. So we're not going to have a bad day behind us, between us. So yeah, can't wait. Nervous excitement.
Hi, I'm Wing Commander Paul Taylor. I'm here as team manager for the RAF team, with Jack Russell, Mike Russell as our rider.
We're on day 3. Practice session just finished. How's it going so far?
Going really well, Chris. We've got a few problems, obviously, with the bikes we've had the past few days. We've had to put right. Minor things, really, compared to normal. So a brake issue with the 600. A very small issue with the tank on the 660, which we've now fixed, and the BMW is pretty much good to go. So this evening, Jack went out and did a really quick lap on the 600. Really pleased with that. He came back, so it's the best bike he's ridden for a long time. Really good news. The 650 as well, 660. He came back in. I think it felt a bit like a pogo machine after riding the immaculate Honda. That's only because I think he's gone from one bike to another, that's all. The bike is actually really good, the Aprilia. The BMW, massively fast, almost 200 horsepower. Trying to wrestle that thing around the place, that's a real task anyway in itself. So I'm really pleased where we are. Obviously the weather's staying good, which is great. So pleased we managed to get out of that. And obviously with the one small oil spill, which has delayed things slightly. Apart from that, it's all gone pretty much as per the plan. So yeah, Jack, obviously it's hard work. It's one of those things that you look at him and think, how on earth can he jump from one bike to another? But he's doing really well. Trying to make sure he eats food, because he forgets to eat food. Make sure he drinks when he has to, get some sleep when he has to. But yeah, all going really well. Really pleased, and the whole team working really well together. It's really great.
Just to explain your role within the team, what is it exactly?
Well, there's a hard one to answer, really. Well, I think normally team manager is what people tend to call me, but to be honest, within the team we all muck in together. I help with Jack beforehand, sponsorship and the rest of it, getting people time off work where we can. Normally we're on duty, but this year we're doing it on leave. But I do what I can to make all that happen before we leave, help get sponsorship where we can, and when we're here as well, trying to make sure that things are running in the awning as they should, that Jack has a bike and anything that he needs, and that Jack is in a place where he needs to be to ride the bike. But like I say, it's all very sort of, we all do what we need to. So I'm on the spanners as well when we need to, and when I'm putting fuel in bikes when I need to. But overall, I want to make sure that number one priority, my main role here, call it what you like, is to make sure that all those people in that awning go home in one piece, Jack especially. And clearly, it's a sort of place where we need to make sure that whatever we do here is as close to perfect as we can make it. It does bite, this place. It's tough on teams, tough on riders, tough on machinery. So the more we can do to offset those things, the better. But yeah, number one job is keeping everyone safe in one piece.
Jack is riding this year as a privateer. What does that mean, and how important is it to you, therefore? You mentioned sponsors. How important is it to have those sponsors?
Hugely important. All of this is our own money. We rely on people, the goodwill of people who want to support racing, who are race fans and who love Jack. And everyone loves Jack. Such a lovely bloke. So having them help us whatever way they can. Some people give a few £100. Some people, like one of our main sponsors, Nair Grant, he bought 2 of the bikes. All of that is the way these things work. And we try and get out where we can, and obviously we pay back where we can sponsors. So with Jack going along, signing things, coming, meeting people, that sort of stuff. All of it we know is important to make sure that sponsors come along, see where their money's going, and see that they're happy with what we're doing, and we do what we can to pay them back. But yeah, it's massively important that we have sponsors keeping us going, because all of this is our money, all of this is what we get from sponsorship, and all of this wouldn't happen without them. So thank you very much to all of them.
Jack, morning. Welcome back again.
Morning, Chris. How are we?
All good, mate. We're just going to take a little spin around the 37 3/4 miles of the circuit. We're in a car, not a bike, I should hasten to add. We're right on the start line now at the grandstand on Glencrutchery Road in Douglas. You're going to talk us through, what's your feeling when you're sitting there waiting to go? You get the tap on the shoulder if it's you're going out. What's your feeling at that moment in time? You're sitting here.
To be fair, I mean, it's a bit of a surreal experience. We're sat here now and we've got cars, bikes, automobiles of all sorts going past us. And, as I sort of get going with it all, it's one of those where we sort of, the helmet visor comes down, you start listening to your breathing, you start hearing your heartbeat, you sort of stomach and all the nerves sort of dissipate very, very quickly. And, you sort of roll up through Dead Man's Land to, hook up onto the start line marshal, who's obviously holding you on the shoulder. And at that point, realistically, your focus just solely, fixates on one point, and that's the sort of top of Bray Hill, shall we say.
So Jack, it's Thursday morning. Wind's picked up a little bit. It's sunny. It's a day of rest for you. 2 days of racing left. How are you feeling?
I'm absolutely shattered, actually. But we've got to this point now, and we've got 2 days of racing left, so we'll just push on through, get strapped up, thank the lucky stars and fairies for the opportunities, and crack on with the next 3 races. Bit of a disappointing day, obviously, yesterday, with the sidecar having a fueling issue with 4 miles to go, and the Super Sport bike having an exhaust issue with 1 lap to go, or on the 3rd lap. So, we're not depressed about it much. We are, but we're not. It's one of those things. We get to do it again.
Is it a case of just picking up, dusting off? It's like being on operations, I guess. Setbacks to the plans don't survive contact, and then you've got to dust off and go again.
Yeah, I mean, exactly that, Chris. We've got 2 more days of racing to look forward to, and obviously the challenge of finishing the 10 races was unrealistic in the first instance. We got very far, 50% into it before anything actually went wrong. I generally didn't think we'd have any issues with the 600, but again, it just shows the sort of brutality of the TT course, that it can snap an exhaust in half, So
what exactly happened? Just talk us through, for those who maybe don't know so much about bikes, and obviously you can't see what happened, and what was the first you knew about it?
So, long story short, Chris, we've not got the money to run a full system exhaust system. So we're running a standard exhaust header pipe, which then links onto the Pipeworks exhaust system at the back. That bolts onto the back of the catalytic, converter on the back of the exhaust, and the standard weld on the exhaust has just basically cracked through. I landed Renkel and went into the right hander at the bottom, dropped into that bottom sort of compression, and the bike sort of, well, to be fair, I thought there was another bike coming up the inside of me. It was that loud, but straight away sort of, changed from a huge high-pitched note to a massively loud. And it was deafening, to be fair, but hopefully not too loud for the spectators. But yeah, just sad to say. I mean, we actually continued, did another 20 miles that lap and got black flagged at the.
And for those that don't know, black flagging means.
So yeah, basically just signalling that we've got a problem. So we pulled over with the marshals that had the black flag out. They said, just get into your pit. Got into the pit. The boys were like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, the exhaust fell off." So it was a conscious, team decision to pull off at that point, and I was a little bit inconsolable, to be fair. I was sort of broke down, and
because you came here with that one goal of competing and completing the 10 events.
Well, we came with that goal, Chris. We came with the goal of the 10, that's never been done, and I'm proud of everything that's happened at this point. To hopefully start every race is going to be an achievement in itself. Obviously, the plan was to finish 10. The sidecar was going absolutely great guns. We had that slight issue in practice. We had handling issues at the beginning of the week with it. I was a little bit nervous going into the race yesterday, but once we sort of started that third lap, the engine temperature was bang on. I thought, you know what, we're going to get this. And then just have we don't know whether it was the fuel pump or something's gone wrong with the fueling system, but basically, long story short, we obviously didn't get that finish. Had I got round the next left-hander, I could have actually sort of rolled it down, but you obviously can't coast, for safety, for guys coming up behind you and stuff. But yeah, Vicky was effing and jeffing and kicking everything in sight, and bless
You
her.
being your passenger on the sidecar.
Yeah, I mean, she took a battering down the bottom of Bagara on the first lap and sort of had a bloody nose and bit of lip and stuff like that. So, by the time we finish, I mean, lives up to her name. She's a tough cookie, Vicky Cook, and she sort of grins and bears it. And yeah, she was fuming with Larry the LCR. And to be fair, I was, but at the end of the day, it was not my, had I failed, as in myself, my mentality, my physicality, I would have been fuming, but you can't write it, it's to come here with the aim of doing 10 races on a budget of £7,000 is ridiculous, and we've done bloody well for what we've done so far. So
there was a palpable sense around the grandstand where I was yesterday from those watching of disappointment for you, because people have really got behind what you're doing.
I hope so. Yeah, it seems that way, and we're sort of like this sort of struggling underdog pauper that people have taken pity on. I don't know what it is, but yeah, we're getting a lot of sort of congratulatory waves as we're going round and stuff, and it's lovely to see. And I have to say, from sort of a racer's point of view, it really does give you an uplifting, physicality to just crack on and do it. You're doing it for them as well as yourself, So, yeah, coming around signpost all over the mountain, you're getting people waving. I was like, but it's just amazing, And we're going to have to unfortunately come back and try this again next year. So, it's one of those things where the 10's out the window this year. If they've still got the same schedule next year. We've got a couple of talks with some sponsors, and if we can peruse a little bit more money out of them for next year, and if they want to support the challenge again, then I'd relish the opportunity.
Fantastic. So 3 more races to go. The team are working on the bikes as we're looking around. What's the plan for the last 3 races?
At the end of the day, Chris, I do want to finish those 3. We've got 5 replicas this year. If we can make it 8, I'll be...
This is replica trophies.
Replica trophies, sorry. So, I give them to my sponsors, whoever supports me with the bikes and stuff, although Grant's not accepting it at the minute, but we'll wrap it up and put it in his Christmas box or whatever. So, but these guys support me with the bike, allow me to achieve my dream of racing, and it's just a way that I can pay them back and say thank you for their hard work. So again, we'll aim for the finishes. The little Aprilia is going great. It's just a bog standard bike, so we had a nice little battle with another Aprilia last, on the race on Wednesday, but it was, that one was a little bit longer in the tooth, so it would pull out on the straights, and I'd sort of reeling back on the brakes, and then you pull away again. So it's a frustrating race, but it's one of those where you just, like, in the back of your mind, you still want to go for that finish. So yeah, and the big 6-lapper on the senior, if we can get to that point on Saturday, 2 races tomorrow, 2 3-lappers. In theory, you don't want to say it, but that's going to be fairly easy in terms of 6 laps in total between 2 bikes, and then obviously 6 laps on the senior superbike race. That's going to be a tough challenge.
So you've got a day of rest, as we say, sort of body recovering, mind recovering a bit. What will be going through your mind when you get back onto the bike to go out for the first one tomorrow?
So, well, long story short, we'll be doing exactly the same preparation that we did this year. Every race this year. We struggled a little bit, I have to say, mentally going into the sidecar race yesterday. And even Vicky said herself, actually, after the race, she said, I was a little bit nervous, but as soon as you got the helmet on, as soon as you got the visor down, you're in that selfish element of let's go and do this. And as soon as we set off, I was loving it. It was great. We improved our lap time. We got held up we caught two bikes by Cronky Voddy on the first lap, and unfortunately we got held up with them the whole race, and which I was happy enough with, because we got past them in a couple of places, then they got back past us when we had that slight issue with Vic sort of slowing us down for those couple of miles. But at the end of the day, it is a selfish sport. We do know this, and it's harder for the family and for the teams and everyone that's left behind. The riders go out there and they're living their dream. They're living their best life. And the guys, I've done it once in the pit crew. Never again. That was the most nerve-wracking. Once you set off, I can't remember how long it took him to get around. Say it was 18, 19, 20 minutes lap, whatever it was. I was like, sure, he's got to be here. Where is he? It was just the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done. So it's always harder for the guys left home. And
you mentioned that you're married, your wife's at home. Again, I guess there are similarities being in the military. You're away on tour. When you're on tour, you're okay. You're busy. Those at home are thinking the worst the whole time, I guess.
Absolutely right, Chris. Yeah, we've done a few tours in some nice hot places, and we've had moments where we've been sort of not able to call out for weeks at a time in at times. And again, what's going on. You're in the sort of thick of the action as such. She's there waiting at home for a reaction, and it can be good or bad. It's terrifying, really. And it's obviously a lot harder for them left at home. So thoughts do go out to the guys that race and their families. I think they are unsung heroes in the whole sort of TT paddock as such. The racing family as such that everyone goes on about. They're an integral part, and they never get any thanks. They just get the highs, and then they obviously get the lows. So,
is your wife supportive of you doing this?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. She doesn't get it. Definitely doesn't get it.
So we're just coming down to the roundabout at Quarterbridge, one of the main markers on TT. Tell me about what's going on at this point for you.
So yeah, at this point we've got the main sort of mainstay of speed out of our way. We've hit the bottom of Bray Hill flat out, took Agos, leapt over second Agos, or whatever that bumpy sort of second Agos is called, and then we're sort of setting ourselves up for braking hard into Quarterbridge. At this point though, it's the first lap on full tank of fuel and everything else, so you've got to appreciate that tyres aren't up to 100% temperature, and the heavy fuel load will push you on. So it's on the first lap, it's a case of concentrate on getting stopped, really. So fire it out at Quarterbridge, and from that point on, really, once you go past Brad and that sort of first left-hander, and your sort of temperature is getting into the tyres, then it's a case of just motoring on.
How important is it to know, you're describing it, and in your mind's eye I can see you're riding that course then. When you first come out, you haven't got that sort of collective knowledge. How do you start building that?
Well, funnily enough, I started my TT prep, should we say. So before I said I hadn't been to the TT before, the Isle of Man, before racing it. Good job, because I wouldn't have bloody raced it had I seen it beforehand. But I was over in Iraq in 2007, and I just had 5 months of laying in a shell scrape and accommodation over there, and basically watched onboard after onboard. The guys actually, sharing the Coromex with me, thanked me for it, because they learned the TT course as well as I did. So
they might not have thanked you at the time.
They definitely didn't at the time. They're like, Christ, not another lap, Jack, Jesus. But the one thing I will say is, we watched. We probably did 3 or 4 onboard laps a night. Different people. Nick Jeffries, really good onboards where we could sort of learn from their experience. But I turned up to the Isle of Man TT and didn't have a clue. I set off for the first lap and I was like, it was so different to what I was expecting. I thought I knew where it was going to go left and right, but even, you know, all the undulations, all the, you know, the steepness of the hills, everything else just took what I thought I'd learned out the window completely.
How much difference is it? You talk about undulations, you talk about that sort of thing, between a solo bike and the sidecar?
So we had this last night actually. One of the three-wheeling girls was asking us, and I have to say the sidecar is horrendous. It's so physical on the body. I'm sure I'm going to have spleen damage and liver damage after this year's TT. So the solo bikes, you know, yes, you get the undulations, you get the wheel spin when the back tyre loses traction, all that good stuff, but it'll buck and weave and wheelie all over the shop. But you know, that side of things, it sort of stays fairly stable and pretty much 9 times out of 10 stays where you want it to go, to within a certain degree as such. The sidecar, you're fighting it all the time, and every single bump. I mean, a manhole cover lid, if you go over that well, that's your 2 false teeth knocked out. You know, it is that sort of. I mean, there's no suspension on the bloody things anyway, and you feel everything. So what we're feeling now with these little undulations doing 28 miles an hour, whatever it is, you know, it is magnified 300,000 times, and it's, you know, every compression, every undulation, every bump, you really feel it in the sidecar. But it also upsets the sidecar and sort of chucks it across the track, whereas a solo bike will sort of go over a bump and whatever else, and again, like I said, it will go where you want it to go. The sidecar is a very much different kettle of fish, and it will sort of jump across the track, and you're always fighting that. You know, I wish people could see underneath, you know, what the riders, the drivers are doing with the bars, because they're constantly fine tuning, you know, massive inputs, you know, just to keep it in a straight line. It's absolutely phenomenal. So, you know, maybe we could get some clear fairings on them, and so people could see what's going on, because so 9 times out of 10, well, there's a few places where my bars are completely out of control. You know, it's as simple as that. You know, so yeah. By what are we on now? Wednesday, so Thursday, and then we've got Friday as a backup. And obviously the weather's been absolutely magical. We haven't been chasing tails. That was my biggest fear coming into the TT, trying to do 10 races, trying to get all the bikes qualified. We could have very well been sat here on a Wednesday evening thinking we haven't even had a lap yet. So
it's happened in the past to people. So.
Well, absolutely. We came in 2019. I didn't turn a wheel till the Thursday, so we did Thursday, Friday, and then racing Saturday, Sunday, etc., or Saturday, Monday, whatever it was. And you know, it's lovely to be in the TT. Everyone seems to be certainly enjoying the sun. I haven't seen anyone put any sun cream on yet. And
you sure that's not just you?
Well, to be fair, that's just high blood pressure. People look at me and go, "Oh, you need to put some." It's high blood pressure, mate. Don't worry about it. Yeah, but the high blood pressure, to be fair, it's pumping tonight. We've got the adrenaline going tonight, and that's
a good thing, isn't it? That's where you want to be, I'm guessing.
Yeah, absolutely. I came into this TT a little bit nervous. I don't know why, because I don't, you know, not that I don't get nervous, but I was sort of exceptionally nervous coming into this TT. Whether I just put a bit of pressure on myself with the 10, there was obviously a little bit of media attention as to, you know, why the hell are you trying that, you loser, you know, and you didn't even finish the 8, so why are you trying 10 sort of thing. So, you know, there was a bit of pressure on myself, and I sort of felt it on that first night, but as soon as we got the first lap in, it was a different kettle of fish, you know, and then you're just relishing any opportunity. And I have to say, the crowd is fantastic. You know, we've been coming out the crag and getting waves. We get waves over the mountain. You know, well, I think they're just waving to everyone, but I'm taking it they're waving at me, thinking, you know, go on, like, get the 10 in. But I don't know. You know, it's just nice to see crowds out.
TT legend John McGuinness with us. John, how's your TT going, first of all?
Practice week was stunning. Super race was good. Super stock first race was disappointing for me with having a fuel pump go, which is unheard of really. But then I've just finished that super stock race, finished 8th, so yeah, we're in the ballpark. We're all happy, you know. That's realistic results for me. And yeah, one more race.
Stunning weather as well. Another races to look forward to. Jack Russell, corporal in the RAF down at Brize, Norton. We're following him through this TT. Incredible effort as a privateer. How difficult is it for those guys to do that and to compete?
Yeah, super difficult. I mean, I know they're doing a lot of their own work on the bikes as well. I'm so lucky in the factory team. I just hand the bikes to the boys and go and sit, put my feet up in my motorhome. So for me, it's a lot easier. But I have massive respect for Michael. I tell you what, I could probably ride a bike round till I'm blue in the face, but I don't think I could get in a sidecar as well and get around on one of them things. So big respect to him. He's a nice guy. He's been around the job a long time. My brother was in the RAF as well. He was in the regiment, so a bit of a connection there with our family members as well. So yeah, it's a shame I think he's had a breakdown in one of them, so that's buggered the job.
It has, but he said he's going to come back next year. What would you say to him? What would your message be for him coming back to try and pick up that record for competing and completing all 10?
I think he needs his bumps feeling, doesn't he? He's obviously not a full shilling somewhere along the line. To want to put himself through that much pain every day must be really hard. But obviously it's a challenge, and he must love it. Nobody's done it before. There's lots of other records gone today, but nobody's done all 10 races. So why not get yourself back next year and crack on.
So yeah, I think this is about 180 through this right-hand kink up here, setting up for the Bigarro side. Not Bigarro, what's this one called? Ballascary, isn't it? Ballagary. So, to be fair, there's a couple of corners on this track that I have to psych myself up for. There's sort of 3 corners that I can think of immediately, and I'll probably tell you a few more as we're going round. But Ballagary is the first one that you sort of have to psych yourself up for. So as I leave Union Mills and sort of go over the lip at Union Mills and then start driving through the bottom past the garage and head up Ballahutchin, or the whole time I'm psyching myself up and telling myself, get it into Ballagary fast, go fast, don't use your brakes, all that good stuff. And it is a case of you come into it, you've psyched yourself up, and I never live up to expectations. I'm always off the throttle a little bit longer than I want to, and at the end of the day I think it's personal protection. It's such a fast corner, big bike. I mean, I dare say it's probably 160, 170 miles an hour, and sort of similar sort of speeds obviously on the 600, etc.
The Triumph Daytona, keep an eye out for Ryan. He is going to be coming past you very, very soon on his final lap. Give him a cheer and help him home. Let's go down to Chris.
Yeah, this could be bad news for Mike Russell unless they can sort the problems out. An unscheduled pit stop here as he was heading out onto his last lap, so he's looking to get those 10 finishes down to 9 at the moment with the retirement in that sidecar race. Let's hope they can get this sorted out. The team are just going to speak to him there now. They're just looking down to the right hand side of the machine. Hopefully they will be able to sort this out. Not sure exactly what the problem is because we're not allowed to get as close as what we used to be able to be allowed to. As 2 riders go very close past us here now, so yes, we'll don't miss what's happening in the front of the race. So I think Jack could be a retirement looking at that. I don't think they're going to have the tools here to maybe fix it. We'll keep an eye on it, but back to you guys.
Unfortunately, technical issues forced Jack to retire both bikes in the 3-wheeling sidecar TT Race 2 at Brandywell and the Monster Energy Supersport TT Race 2 when the exhaust sheared on his Kawasaki toward the end of lap 3. He was, however, still on to complete 8 of the 10 events, and it was all down to the main event on the last Saturday of TT 2023.
Race. That's 30 minutes to the start of the race. Can all crews now vacate pit lane, including all fuel cans other than the 5-litre top-up can. Stroll out.
So we just heard the announcement there 30 minutes ago till the start of the big one, the senior TT race, the Milwaukee Senior TT race. How are you feeling today for that?
Oh, now you just said that, it's starting to, the nerves do start kicking. I'm going to have to go off and get ready and everything else, but yeah, I just, we're going to have to take every lap as it comes, and my plan is to get that finish. We're going to start our 10th today, which is great. We're going to aim to finish it, but I'm under no illusion that it's physically I'm very much at a tether, shall we say.
When we spoke on the first day you were here, you came here with the intention of competing in 10 events. So far, your percentage is pretty good. I just heard you use a great phrase. If you finish today, it will be 80%, which I think you said was better than you've achieved in exams.
Yeah, absolutely. 8 out of 10 cats would have been, that's where we're at today. If we get that finish today, 8 finishes at a TT in the same year is probably going to be a record of some sort, I'd have thought. 10 starts definitely, I think, has never been done before, but obviously that's because the schedule's never allowed it in the past. So very proud of what we've done this year. We came here with, a great team behind us and everything going on, but we just, unfortunately, with the TT as it is, we've literally had 2 very, very small 90-pound components fail us to do that 10, and it is what it is. Unfortunately, it hopefully gives us that sort of feeling that maybe we'll just come back and try it again.
Your team are hovering, your bike is ready to go, Milwaukee Senior TT good to go. Jack, good luck and we'll catch you later.
Thanks, Chris, appreciate it.
So we are now standing on the grid with Jack, whose bike is having the last few preparations done. Basically, the biggest thing I can see going on is a cleaning of the visor, the cleaning of the shield on the bike to make sure he's got the absolute best visibility he can get. Obviously, that's a hugely important thing, travelling at the speeds they're travelling on a road circuit, a road course like the TT. On the grid, bikes, teams everywhere. The scrutineers doing their final checks. We're about 8 minutes away from the start of the race. Spectators lining not only the area around the grandstand here on Glencrocher Road and the grid itself, but also all around the 37 3/4 mile circuit. It is a windier day than it has been for the rest of the races. Jack, when I was chatting to him earlier, was saying that will play a part, particularly on the mountain sections, but we'll see what happens. We are minutes away. PT, we've just seen Jack set off on the Milwaukee Senior TT race. What happens now for the team? What do you do for the next 6 laps?
Well, we've got 2 pit stops to do. Obviously, they're critical. We've seen some amazingly quick pit stops from the crew this way around. It's really impressive stuff. In fact, I think Michael Dunlop's team might come over and see how we're doing it all, to be honest. We've had really smooth pit stops. The fuel's gone in really well. No problems at all with leaks and that sort of thing. And obviously, what we thought was a breakdown fuel-wise in the sidecar turned out to be a fuel pump gone. So we've all worked out the fueling thing as well. So for these 6 laps, making sure that we keep an eye on if he comes in or not. Obviously, he had the problem before the Kawasaki, an unplanned stop. So the crew will be aware of him coming through, getting ready just in case he pops in with a technical problem, with all the tools ready to go. Other than that, 2 planned stops. Hopefully he can hang on for 6 laps, because that beast is an absolute monster of a thing to get around here for 6 laps. It's an absolute
We've
beast.
talked a little bit about this. You don't fancy riding that at all, do you?
No, for all the tea in China, I wouldn't ride that thing around here. I mean, the Twin, I think the 600 probably be a different challenge, but the BMW is 200 horsepower. It's doing 200 miles an hour along roads that are open to the public. Normally, you barely get 2 cars past. If that isn't anyone's idea of crazy, I don't know what is. But yeah, we've got that to do, and then the biggest thing for us today, once all the racing is finished, is the massive Jenga puzzle that is getting all the bikes back into the vehicles. We've got one of the vehicles going back tomorrow morning, the big one going back on probably Thursday. But we need to make sure all the kit's in the right place to go to the right part of the country and then unload in the right order. That, I can tell you, is going to be a headache.
You need an RAF loggy to come and be part of the team to help you out.
I wouldn't go that far.
Excellent stuff. So for you, it's now Saturday. It's just gone 12:15 when the Senior TT race started. You're back at work Monday as well, aren't you?
I am back at work Monday, so obviously the long journey home and then back into work Monday morning. I mean, it's been probably my best TT. I've been coming here 29 years, and I honestly say it's been the best one. The team have gelled really well together. Obviously got some great results. I mean, Jack getting that 10th place in the Twin, having jumped off that beast of a BMW, absolutely incredible. He could hardly walk. His hands are so sore from hanging on to the big bike. So to get 10th in those circumstances was just unbelievably impressive. Back in work Monday, and obviously then counting down 12 months almost until next time we come out and do it all over again.
Which preempts my next question. You'll be back then, obviously.
Well, each year I always think, that's my last year doing it, because I'm no spring chicken, as you know. But to be honest, I love the place. It's just amazing. The people are lovely. When the weather's good here, there's no better place in the world to be than the Isle of Man, certainly with motorbikes involved. So I'm pretty sure we're back next year, hopefully with the RF support, and I'm sure if Jack has the wherewithal in terms of the backing, the sponsors and the rest of it, we might end up doing the 10-lap challenge again, or 10-bike challenge. I think there is also an alternate plan to slim down to, say, the sidecar and one solo. I think he should keep the Twin because he goes well on that. He wants to keep the 600, but I'm pretty sure in some shape or form that we're back next year doing it all over again and enjoying it as much hopefully as we did this year.
How much of a difference would it make to the team, to Jack, to yourself, to have that full RAF support again?
It'd be brilliant. Obviously we are still servicemen and we'll fly the flag for the Royal Air Force. It's nice if we're here on duty actually doing that officially. Clearly we still came anyway, so we're on leave here this year, and it's a big chunk of leave we've had to ask people to take to come here and do it on leave. It'd be great if we can get the support back for official duty next year. Hopefully that'll be the case. But also it means that things like, and it sounds simple, but the journey to and from is then a duty journey, so it saves us from spending a race budget on that sort of thing. But also, we do fly the flag for the Air Force, and I think the fact that we have service personnel here racing is a good advert for the Royal Air Force in terms of the career and how we challenge our people and support them at elite levels of sporting sort of activity.
Jack, Saturday afternoon, it's 2:45. The Milwaukee Senior TT race done and dusted. Where did you finish? How was it?
Oh, well, Chris, we finished, and that was really a war of a test of endurance for myself, to be honest. I think we ended up 25th, so I'm really pleased with it. The bike was great. I let the bike down, to be honest, unfortunately. And
Why do you say that?
Well, to be fair, the bike's very capable, but unfortunately, not that I couldn't hold on. I just suffered arm pump from the first lap. It did, first lap suffered arm pump, and then we sort of came in for the second lap into the pits, and I was just trying to stretch off my hands and shake them off and everything else. And to be fair, it did actually get a bit better, and we just sort of settled into a rhythm, and we were just looking for the finish. So
you came here with that express aim: 10 starts, 10 finishes. 10 starts, 8 finishes, you got the 80%. You've got to be, though disappointed not to get the 10, you've got to be happy with that.
Don't get me wrong, Chris, I'm I've come here in the past with 2 bikes and never finished a race. I've seen big teams, professional teams with budgets tenfold of what I'm looking at and more, and not finish a race. So I'm eternally thankful for the team, to myself, to my sponsors for supporting us, and without any of these guys I wouldn't be able to turn a wheel around this place. It's such a demanding track, both physically, mentally, and the mindset for the even on the bike as well. You've got to know the boys are doing the right job behind you as well, otherwise you just wouldn't be able to let the clutch out and go down Bray Hill at 180 miles an hour.
One last question, and I didn't want to talk about this during the week. It's Saturday afternoon now. This year's TT has seen a death, just the one, and that was the Spanish rider Raul Torres Martinez. Does that play on your mind when you go out there? Are you aware of that, or do you just park that to one side?
Yes and no. We respect and love every rider that takes part in the TT. Excuse me. We have every respect and we send our love to Raul's family, friends and loved ones that are obviously going to be suffering without him. But I'm sure that they would appreciate as much as any racer's family that, yes, it's a selfish sport. Yes, not many people understand it. But this is what we live for. This is what gets us up in the morning. It's what we go to bed thinking about. And Raul would have been exactly the same. He was such a nice gentleman, brilliant rider. A stalwart of the TT, and our thoughts are with his family and loved ones. But you do think about it, of course. When we've unfortunately ridden through a few fatalities in the past and sort of been the next bike on scene and seen a few things that we don't really want to see. But then partly that we've been to Iraq and Afghanistan, and we've had the same sort of things where you've been and just dealt with it where you are. The situation calls for it, and unfortunately the TT is a little bit like that. You've got to be a little bit battle hardy. I'm quite an emotional guy. I wear my heart on the sleeve, and I do suffer. After sort of super sport race, I was not ashamed to admit it. I was absolutely mortified and very teary. So it is one of those things. But when it comes to racing, unfortunately, yes, these things happen. They wouldn't want us to stop though for them. And if anything happens to me in the future, I wouldn't want anyone to mourn me for more than 2 minutes to go, let's get our lids back on and have another play at this.
Raise a glass, have a beer?
Absolutely, and we raised a glass to Raul on the night that it happened with his friends that came round, and in memory of him, we carry on.
A few beers now, relaxing with the team, which is great to see. You've got bikes to pack, you've got a trailer and a marquee to put away, and then you're back at work on Monday, yeah?
That's it. If I can sort the boat out, unfortunately I've messed up the boats, and I'm a bit homeless at the minute. So yeah, the truck's going to stay till Thursday, I think, and then we're going to try and get the boys back in the van tomorrow. But it's a day of packing up now, and tonight we can't really have too many beers because we're driving down and across tomorrow morning. So
And then back into work at Brize on Monday.
And back into Brize on Monday, yeah. I've got a course to run on Monday with a couple of guys running Tola, so back to work and you know.
How difficult is it to stretch? Because you've been here, you've been part of this huge event, global event, the cameras, the TV cameras, everything has just been crazy for the last couple of weeks. And then you step back in, you put your uniform on, you go back in, you're running a course at 9 o'clock on Monday morning, whatever.
You know, it's people are into motorcycling. You know, the guys at work and stuff, they sort of know that I'm into motorbikes and know that I race the Isle of Man and stuff like that. So we'll have the $1 million questions and how did you go, what did you do? But they don't understand it, you know, and there's only a very small percentage of people that sort of understand the mentality, the physicality of road racing. So it's great that we get the support from the guys at work, and they're always interested in how it's gone and all the stories that go along with it. But it's a very surreal situation when you sort of work. You know, I've forgotten my laptop password and stuff like that, so it would be a case of resetting password.
C4I, we expect a call.
Exactly, C4I, boom, here we go. All right, dial 3, you know, so it'll be a case of reset my password and we'll just, you know, crack on. And again, plans are afoot for next year, so, you know, mentally already, you know, live and breathe TT.
Cpl Michael Jack Russell completed his 8th finish from 10 starts in the Milwaukee Senior TT race on Saturday afternoon. His BMW S1000RR finished in 26th place with an average course speed of 120.731 miles per hour. His best finish in TT 2023 was 10th in the Carroll Nash Super Twin TT race.
This is Reheat for Inside Air. I'm AS1 Victoria Andrews. In a formal ceremony at RAF Cranwell, Air Chief Marshal Sir Rich Knighton took over command of the Royal Air Force from the outgoing Chief of the Air Staff, Sir Mike Wigston. Following the handover, he set out his main priorities.
The RAF needs to be ready to fly and fight. That is why my top 3 priorities are our operational focus and mindset, our people and our infrastructure. What we do is vital for the country, for our families and for those who we fight alongside in the other services. All of us have a part to play, whether regular, reserve, civil servant or contractor.
Meanwhile, RAF Typhoons, a Voyager and a team of surface-to-air missile specialists have deployed to Sweden for Exercise Arctic Challenge. RAF Coningsby-based 11 Squadron Typhoons, a Voyager crew from RAF Brize Norton, and a team from RAF Spade Adam are operating alongside 14 other nations in a complex exercise which aims to strengthen national defence, increase operational effectiveness, improve resource allocation and identify efficiencies through increased cooperation. Elsewhere, a £125 million training contract will prepare Royal Navy observers and RAF weapons system officers to operate on board Poseidon, Rivet Joint, Wildcat and Merlin aircraft. Training will be conducted by civilian instructors and military staff operating from 750 Naval Air Squadron. Lasting 3 years, the contract will run until June 2026, when the future I-Star and Rear Crew Training System programme replaces it. And finally, a look to sport where the RAF Table Tennis Championships have taken place. Sergeant Rebecca Faulkner beat last year's winner to claim the title in the women's competition, while Flight Lieutenant Anthony Beretta took the men's top prize for another consecutive year. Momentum is also growing behind plans for an all-women inter-services ice hockey competition. A recent tri-service Learn to Play training camp was delivered by the RAF Ice Hockey Association and was considered a success with 40 skaters taking part. That's Reheat on Inside Air.
I'm AS1 Simon Ross with this episode's Name That Noise. That was the sound of an RAF photographer's camera shutter. RAF photographers and videographers are the eyes of the RAF and create high quality stills and video imagery to support air power during times of peace and periods of conflict. They are responsible for capturing air-to-air imagery to promote the RAF brand, processing aerial reconnaissance film to assist UK security forces, flying in rotary and transport aircraft recording airborne delivery trials, and being rapidly deployed worldwide to cover breaking news stories. Then there's 7644 Squadron, based at RAF Halton, who are a media operations unit formed of RAF reservists. These media specialists work professionally as TV camera operators, newspaper journalists, photographers and radio presenters, to name just a few, and they bring their skills to the RAF in their spare time.
That's all for this episode of Inside Air. Please give us a review, subscribe on your favourite podcast app and join us again soon. In the meantime, good luck for TT 2024 to Corporal Michael Jack Russell. We'll see you back on the Isle of Man then.
You've been listening to Inside Air, a behind-the-wire view of the Royal Air Force, its people, technology and operations. If you're serving in the RAF and have a story for us, please speak to your unit media and communications officer. Inside Air is written and produced for the Royal Air Force by RAF Media Reserves.